All right. Welcome to the second edition of the webinar. This is the update. And we are going to, in this meeting, discuss locations. We're going to discuss pricing, and we're going to discuss the curricula, scope and sequence, and things like that. Now, keep in mind, it is March, and when classes start in September, there can be some tweaking, but we're hoping to limit that. But there is ultimately some adjustments that could be made. So getting right into it, we are going to want to reintroduce our idea of who we are and what we're doing. Our main purpose is we want to put families back in the driver's seats. And we get a lot of questions on whether or not are you officially a school? Are you starting a school? And it's a tough question to ask or answer, because ultimately we are in a legal sense a school. However, our function and purpose is to provide families with resources, to provide families with options, effectively to put families back in the driver's seat. And so the idea of, are we full tilt a school? Well, right now there's no real desire to be a 9 to 5, 5 day a week school. And I just want to make that pretty clear. Our goal is not to be in that mode. Our goal is to provide options for families who they can use as much or as little as they want to fit in with what their convictions are, what they want, and what the Lord's really put on their heart. Now, with that said, if someone says, I go to Kids of Grace Academy as my school, there's nothing wrong with that. And if someone says, I homeschool and utilize Kids of Grace Academy for other purposes, there's nothing wrong with that. So we're kind of in that awkward middle ground, but I think it's a good middle ground. And I think it's a necessary middle ground. It's a middle ground that I think has been needed for a while. And that's why we're hoping to be there. The main idea is that we want families to follow the Lord in what they have, what He has for them. And so our main goal is to provide those opportunities. And so with that, we are introducing the micro school, and that is a new thing. And I don't want that to alarm or scare people. It's going to function very similarly to what we've been doing for the last 3 years. One of the main differences, though, is that we are going to break out into smaller locations and add additional resources for families. And so, to get into that, we have our locations that we are revealing. Now we're kind of in an already but not yet phase. We have confirmed. We have Oregon City and Tualatin. Those are confirmed. So we will be launching micro schools in Oregon City and Tualatin. That's going to be at Park Place Bible Church and at Boone's Ferry Community Church. So those are two options that are going to be in the works. We are waiting on the final word on two other churches, and I'm not going to name their names because we are still sifting through the all the details of what it would look to bring
Right here.
uh the micro school over to our to those locations. So, and they're going to be Lake Oswego and Newburgh. So those are the two we're really working towards, and Lord willing, we're going to have some really good announcements in the next few days on those. But so there's nothing final on those yet. We're waiting for the final word. However, we are
It says
edging
in the
edging
wilderness.
towards getting those secured. So these are the four areas that we're looking to launch come September, come registration, which will open next Friday. So our goal is to open next Friday, have registration open for enrollment. So to get all the ducks in a row with that. There are a few dark horse locations that we're working through, and I'm reluctant to even mention those because they may not factor in, but there's one in particular that could strongly factor in. So you may see a fifth option on the board come next Friday. But all that to say is these are the four that we are looking to lead in with initially. And so I want to review then precisely what our micro school schedule will look like. And I'm going to start with the primary, start with the grade school, and work then to the starter program, which will be preschool to kindergarten, and then to middle school, and then to high school. So that's going to be the flow of how we're going to do it. I'm going to do each chunk at once. So I'm going to talk about the schedule, talk about the curriculum, then I'm going to talk about the pricing of each of those. And so we'll start with the uh primary. And so this is the flow of what it's going to look like. And so history and literature will be separated out. So literature is actually going to be on B day. So this is an old slide, but the location will be at one of the church campuses. The basic programming is going to be current events, Bible, music, art, and science. And so that's what it's going to look like. On the opt-in day, it's going to be history and English. As I said, literature will be attached to the B day. And so the B day will be at Akoga Family Center, and I am excited to relay the information that we are in contract negotiations. We are getting close to unveiling a family center that will be in Tigard, Oregon. And so that's exciting news. Keep that in prayer. As some of you know, with real estate deals, a little microorganism can kill some of those deals, but we're in very deep, and we're very close. So be in prayer. That should happen in the very close near future. We're in fierce negotiations with that. So that's happening in real time. And so that's going to be the family center is going to be in Tiger. Now I wanted to break down because there can be some confusion. So all the all the A days will be at church campuses. Those are all going to be at church campuses. And what the flow will look remarkably like what this year's co-op has looked like, as far as just kind of how it goes. The one key difference, as you know, hopefully, is that there's going to be just a change in leadership structure in the class itself. It's going to be a teacher running the grade levels, and that's going to transcend throughout the program on the grade school level. But it's going to be a single teacher that manages it, and there's going to be volunteers. Parents are more than welcome to pitch in and chime in the same way they're doing now. It's effectively the lead teacher will become a paid staff member that's going to help gear the programming. Now, what's the advantage to that? Well, there's a lot of advantage to that. That teacher is going to have ownership over what is being taught. They're going to be the ones who have crafted that lesson plan specifically for that day for those kids. So it's going to be a lot more dialed in than even potentially now, which I feel we're doing a good job now. It's going to be even more dialed in specifically for that age group. So there's going to be everything's going to be age appropriate. Everything's going to be really intentionally dialed for those kids, and that's what a single teacher will be able to bring to bear. Right now, we're blasting things out of a cannon, and we're niching it to the groups, but sometimes different development levels have different needs. And so what we're looking to do is really have a teacher target each one of those. And so the current events, that's going to be through World Watch. Art and music, we have some curriculum that we're working through that we are going to be, as we progress in this, be publishing and making available for families. And the Bible, we are excited to announce. So I'm going to move actually over to this cycle here, the scope and sequence for the grade school. So we are excited. We are using Usborne Art. That's going to be a similar shift. We're going to go back to kind of how we did that a couple years ago, and we're going to really tighten that up. And the reason we're using Usborne, and I'm really excited for this nuance, is that it's going to lend into the ultimate big program of what if you stay with the program, what we'll be doing in high school, middle school, and upper elementary. It's really gearing up. A lot of the programming is consistent with that. So there's no relearning new programs, new systems of art. It's going to flow really well into what the older kids are going to be doing. We're gonna be music enrichment and music appreciation. So we're whenever it says Koga on our scope and sequence, if this is all published on the web, by the way. Whenever it says Koga on the scope and sequence, what that really means is that we're taking from more than one curriculum. And so that doesn't mean that we're just dreaming up some stuff. We're really just curating from more than one. So in that case, that's the case with music and our book lists, which we're going to be publishing that soon. We're tightening that up as well. But our book lists is going to be published, and we're going all in with IEW for our language arts. Um, on this, you'll see that it is reflecting the theme based group. Now we are also going to be offering style and structure as well, but the theme base is really for at home work that makes it a lot easier. So those are gonna go together. The science, we're using Apologia. Next year we're going to be doing astronomy, and so that's going to be part of the cycle. Then the year after that, it's going to be a different one. And so we're going to be rotating our apologias. We're using Not Grass History, and those are on a similar cycle because those are multiple books that transcend multiple years. The 50 state cycle is actually one book that we're splitting over 2 years, and the goal with that is to really capture a state of the United States and kind of go through that at a slower pace, as opposed to just a flyover. One of the things I'm very excited about is the Bible and theology. We are going to introduce through second grade Awana's programming. So we're going to be using the Awana's Bible programming and their curriculum. And so that's really going to affect the preschool for sure, but it is also going to go through second grade. So we're going to be using the Sparks program through second grade. So that's an exciting new adjustments. We're going to be using Generations of Grace, a cycle in which there's going to be a through the Bible component as well as a basic kid theology component that is there. So it's going to be alternating through the Bible slash theology at definitely at a kid level. So don't worry that we're going to be dropping all sorts of vocabulary, but we're going to be introducing the why behind the what. And the reason we're choosing to do that is we want to not take away necessarily from what the church is doing. The goal and hope is that everyone's plugged into a church, but the idea is we're going to be complementing that. So we're going to having a mix in with Bible stories and kind of the why behind, or the how and the what behind those Bible stories. So giving kids a really good foundation as to why they believe what they believe and what that story means and how does that play out in the whole of Scripture. So we're really excited to full go all in with that Generations of Grace cycle, and it's gonna read and work a lot like Awana's on the younger. So it's not gonna they don't graduate from second grade and go immediately to old boring theology. It's gonna seamlessly transition is the goal. And so this is posted on the web, and there's going to be some slight adjustments, and it's going to be more for clarification on the language arts. We're going to condense that and make that more clear, uh keeping first and second grade, second, third and fourth, all those kind of succinct with each other. But that's going to be the goal. Now, just to clarify the color scheme, the yellow represents so there's different color schemes. We'll start with the blue. The blue represents the classes that we are going to offer in the opt-in at the family center. The yellow represents the core programming, and the teal represents the opt-in on the mega day. So the second part of the day, of the mega day, of the A day, is going to be the teal. So all of these will be offered except for the gray. The gray currently is the classes we don't necessarily have plans for. Now I say necessarily because if we get enough people, so let's say, petitioning for those classes, we'll accommodate that. But we're just trying to be strategic in how we lead in with what we do and how we do it. So we want to be strategic and not just cavalier or brash in that. And so with that, wanted to give you a scope of what we're doing for the year. All of this, again, if you wanted to say, hey, we're all in, we'll do the curriculum, and this will be our school, that's your option, and that's something that we want to provide for you. And if you are saying, hey, this sounds great, we'll supplement and we'll retain our homeschool status, that's awesome as well. And so with that, we're going to go into the pricing for the primary grades. And the first is going to be a full drop off. So if this is the idea of at the primary level, you are dropping your kid off, and that's going to be $550 per term. The second is going to be a 60-hour volunteer option. So what that means is that you are volunteering 60 hours throughout the term, which would average out to be about 2 hours a day, an A day. Now remember, this applies to the core programming. So what that would mean is you could drop off, say run to Costco, run an errand, and be back to volunteer a little bit. So you're kind of at a part-time volunteer. And what that will look like is $450 a term. And then the full volunteer will be $375 a term. And so per term is going to be at 15 weeks. And so we're going to build that into the billing, and we're going to create payment plans according to what you want to do. So if you want to pay in full up front, that's totally great. We also really, really understand that not everyone has the same cash flow. And so we really want to make sure we are being totally flexible with you guys in giving you those options. But this is kind of the cost of doing business, the price of doing business costs that we are coming to. And do keep in mind that we are bringing in teachers that are going to help really pour in the quality and effort to the kiddos on that. And so those are the core program days, and you'll have obviously a spectrum, so you can choose which plan fits best for you. If you want to be on the full volunteer, it's going to be obviously cheaper than the full drop off. And then we get into the opt-ins. So the A day option, this is the after lunch of the core programming. This will be at the church campus, and that will be $175 per term. And then the B day option will be $250 per term, and that will include literature, that will include math. And so if you want to get that covered, and that will be again at the family center. So B day will be at the family center, A day will be at the church campus. And so the B day option will include math, it will include literature. And so that will be there. And so you'll get that covered. Now, what this doesn't cover is curriculum. So you will be on your own for that. Now, what we are looking to do is provide at cost options for families, or a slight increase, but we're looking to create an option for you to buy your curriculum through us. So more on that, but that is not currently in place, but that will hopefully, by the time we are getting there, have that as an option. So that's the primary cost. Again, this will be posted on the website. It's not currently, but it will be. So you guys get the exclusive first look at that. And so this is going to be effective next Friday when registration opens. So with that said, we'll get into the preschool scope and sequence, the starters program. This we don't have the actual schedule of the day because that's going to fluctuate day to day. So that's not going to necessarily be the same thing every day all the time. So again, you'll see a lot of yellow. That means that these are the things we're going to incorporate into class. Now we might alternate different things, but we are going to roll this in. And what this doesn't cover also is our 2-year-old program that we are looking to launch more programming. Now, what does that mean for 2 years old? Well, we're going to roll out the Puggles Awana program. So they're going to get a Bible curriculum, and we're going to roll out some crafts and some story time more officially. So the price for the twos will also be reflective of that. So keep that in mind. So social studies and science, again, we're developing a cycle. This one is still in the works, but we're developing a cycle that is going to be on rotation. So if your kid's a 3-year-old, he's not going to get the same thing every year, every time, but there's going to be a rotation, and it's not going to be every day. So we're not necessarily doing a science project every day, but we're going to be filtering that in with the schedule. So again, the schedule is still being developed, but it is going to be pretty robust, and it's going to be a full day. So this core programming is going to be from 9 to noon. There's no opt-in options for the for this age. We do feel that kindergarten is a good time to still keep that part day. I know public schools are pushing for full day kindergarten. I see that as a miss. I think kindergarten is they get half day is plenty of time, then go home and rest and still be kids, and you guys can still do your homeschool uh the way you want to. The book lists, we're publishing that. There's gonna be a preschool and some kindergarten book lists, and what that will look like in class is in class reading, so story time. But you'll have a book list that you'll be able to track and work through for your kids, and really it's just a value added value. So Cubbies, we are going to be we're going to be rolling out that Awanas program. It's going to be pretty cool. There's going to be a lot of emphasis on verse memorization. We are also going to retain the Bible verse, the ABC Bible verse. But that's going to be really in the vein of dealing with the letters, and then we're going to talk about the theology behind some of the verses, but we're not looking to necessarily have them go through two Bible programs. The primary one will be Awanas in that way. And so the pricing for the starters program will be the 2-year-olds is going to be $150 a term, and the core program, again, it's going to be full volunteer. There's no drop off option for the kindergarten, preschool, or junior kinder, or definitely the preschool, or definitely the 2-year-olds. There is no volunteer option. So there's only a volunteer option, I should say. That's gonna be $375. And the reason for the parity of it with the grade school is because they take up equally, if not more, resources, the same amount of space as the older kids. So that is going to be in the works. And so that is the starters program. And those are the prices. Again, these will be reflected on the website. So that will be happening soon. So next, we're going to move into the middle school. Middle school option, again, the literature is also going to be on the core intensive. That slide needs to be updated. But I wanted to talk about the rooted intensive. I am very excited for this. And I wanted to discuss all that it's going to entail. So we're it's not going to be a 3-hour Bible study. It's going to be very interactive, very hands-on, dealing with logic, really the theology behind why we believe what we believe, and putting that into practice, where we're going to give the kids some real hands-on conversations. They're going to be working through biblical texts, but they're going to be doing so interactively with each other. We're going to be having game shows with the logic class specifically. We're going to be watching television commercials, obviously appropriately screened, but really talking about the fallacies in them. We're going to be looking and engaging with other cultures and other religions, other cults, cults, not other cults, but cults worldviews, and engaging with why they believe and comparing that with our own. And ultimately, as well, we're going to be going through some really timeless, good books written by godly authors that really serve us well. So the intention with this is not to simply, really do a long, drawn out Bible study, but the intention is to really have a intentional time where these kids are dialed in with what they believe and why they believe, and giving them space in a social setting to flesh out and discuss that, and to test those hypotheses or the logic against the reality of God's word, but also with an intentional curriculum that guides and directs them. So I'm really excited for this. Again, we are going to publish the thoroughness of what we're engaging with, especially with the curriculum we're using, the books we'll be reading, going through the methods in which we'll be studying them. Will be also, will this be interactive? How interactive will it be? We'll be discussing that. I'll be releasing a document online either today or early next week that will explain all that we'll be doing. But essentially, what the goal with this is to get these kids dialed in with the Lord, or dialed in with what they believe and why they believe it, and really take advantage of this time as they go into, the world and high school and all that. Really establishing that firm foundation and getting them rooted in that. And so that is the rooted intensive. It is going to be fun, and it's going to be, I believe, very beneficial. And so that's going to happen. And so that is there. Then lunch, and again, literature will be moved to B day. So the opt-in classes is going to be science and history, and that's going to be grade level appropriate. And so that's going to be the science and history, and literature is also going to be grade appropriate. The B day is going to be grade level math. And what that will look like is if your kid is ahead or behind, the math option will be given to them that fits their needs. So we're going to be moving outside of the grades. So seventh grade's kind of irrelevant when it comes to B day. It's going to be the math that you need to be at. And so they're going to meet them at their level. There's going to be no shame in that. It's going to be whether you're advanced or behind or right where the median is, you're going to be at that level. Same with English. We're going to be rolling out IEW English, and that's going to be a very robust program that we're gearing up, and tying in with that is going to be the literature. So again, literature is going to be on the B day. That's going to be reflective at the family center. So that's going to be the plan for middle school. So you have your science, your history, your English, your math, and then you're going to have logic, you're going to have theology, you're going to have apologetics, you're going to be working through worldviews. So there's a lot there. Now, the Rooted Intensive will not have a lot of homework necessarily. It will have some, but it's gonna be largely a lot of reading and engaging with either thoughts and more ideas. We're not going to be writing long, lengthy papers. There's going to be a lot of group projects with that as well. So working outside of class and building that out. So what this doesn't reflect is additionally academic electives such as Spanish, other languages, and other special programs. Those will be released at a different time with the Family Center, and those are going to come at a different cost. And so those are going to be on their own track. Here's the middle school scope for you to look at. The IW is going to be paired together. And so if you already have your style and structure, you're able to jump right in. Now, this is also going to include that as well. The nice thing is, if you're starting as a 7th grader and you go, well, what about next year for 8th grade? It's going to be another lap, but it's going to be different skills of the same thing. So Sean, she is the head of this department. She is doing a fantastic job of really building out a program that fits with kids that have done it again and again. So it's not going to be redundant on that level. Again, the blue is reflective of what's going to be at the family center, and then the teal is the literature again is going to be at the family center as well. So math is going to be these are placeholders for what is the general assumption of where the kids will be at. But again, the math will be at their level. And in case you're new to Saxon math, algebra 1 and algebra half algebra 0.5 is pre-algebra. That's how they decided to discuss that. So science can be apologia, physical science and general science is going to be reflective of 7th and 8th grade. And then the Adam to Us is a world history survey cycle that we're going to put them through at the same time with. And again, those are on the opt-in at the second part of the A day. So that's the middle school. Again, this will be on the website. And the tuition costs for middle school, again, we're providing two options. The Rooted Intensive drop-off is going to be $550 a term, and the Rooted Intensive volunteers is going to be $400 a term. So if you want to drop off, you're able to do that and pick them up at the end. That's going to be $550 a term. If you want to stay and engage, so volunteering at this level means that you are engaging, you're helping run a small group, things like that. That's going to be $400 a term. The A-day option will be 400 a term. So that's going to include science and history, and the teacher that is associated with that is going to help guide and direct that. There'll be homework and working with that. And then the B-day option, so this is English, science, this is English, math, and literature, is going to be 500 a term. So your math, your English, and your literature is going to be 500 a term. Your science and your history will be 400 a term. And your Bible, your apologetics, your theology, your logic, that's going to be 400 a term. So that's the middle school pricing. That will be reflected on the website. And this will be essentially the scope of the day, like I already mentioned before. So this is going to be how it will go down. And so finally, the high school. A lot of questions about high school. Very excited for that. We're gonna get right into the tuition costs. We're gonna do a grad track, which is gonna be 1925 a term. So 1925 a term is gonna get you your track for a teacher that's going to teach all the core subjects. So again, this is not reflecting electives. So this won't reflect academic or electives. This is what we are deeming our core programming for grad track. And then so that's going to be 1925 per term, which will bring out the option. What if I only want to take one class? Well, you can. That's going to be 850 per class. And that's for our core package. So that's going to be 1925 or 850 per class and audit. Now, don't let the word audit mean that doesn't count. What it simply means is that you as the parent will be responsible for creating and drawing out the transcripts. So if this is a supplemental class and you are taking they are taking it as a teacher, but you are going to be the one drawing out the transcripts. If you're going to high school or creating your own diploma program, that's what it's going to be for you. So, and this is not per term, that would be per class. So that's going to be for the whole year would be the audit cost. So that is for high school, and so this is the curriculum used for the grad track. So that's what the 12 the 1290 is going to cover is this, and that's looking like. So we're going to move to social studies is going to be BJU Press. We're going to be going through just a very robust program on that. We had someone ask, are we going to be rolling out physics? We intend to roll out physics. Yes, is we have physics lined up. It's going to be through Apologia, Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Advanced Math, and then which is similar to pre-calculus. A note on algebra and Saxon, and you'll notice there's no geometry. The way Saxon has dialed that in is if you do the 3 years of algebra and in 2 years of algebra and the third year of advanced math, you will also get a geometry credit with that. And so that's built into the program, is that they cover geometry through algebra 1, algebra 2, and advanced math. We're going to be doing a very robust literature program. I'm very excited for this. Sean and I have been working on this, and it's going to be pretty good. There's going to be a very good list of books that will rival any institution, I would say, that will be brought out. The language arts will be style and structure. Get you caught up on the writing element if you haven't done that. If you have done that, we're going to go straight to literary analysis. And so that's the explanation for the redundancy. And then we're going to get from there, it's going to be essay writing, classical rhetoric, and things like that. Art is going to be elective based. And what that means is we're going to be rolling out special programs like very, very unique things. We're hoping to get some graphic design, character sketching, things like that really are more niche. The expectation is that you have taken the other arts, and so once you get to high school, it's going to be more elective based, as with music. Looking to create more programs and opportunities for music. We're gonna in the Bible theology, we're gonna be building off the rooted intensive theology too, and then we're gonna go into New Testament and Old Testament. So we're gonna give you a thorough understanding of the New Testament and Old Testament as you go into your high school year. So that is our plan for the year. And I'm just really excited. I know a lot of you have questions, and I'm really hoping to answer those more directly. But I do want to make sure you guys know our heart is to make this as affordable, to make this as accessible as possible for families, because we do understand that this is a big deal, and we don't take it lightly. But we are very excited about moving on into a family center, into that new season where we're going to be able to engage at a 24-hour, at a more consistent level, where we will have our own programming. We'll have we're also looking to roll out with that family play groups for younger kids. A lot of cooperative events like Makers Club, Trekking Club. A lot of electives are going to be pouring through the the family center. So keep that in mind. This is not the extent of what we're doing. This is the core programming element, but we're going to be producing lots and lots of content. So stay tuned for that. Wanted to get this out in the open initially. That way you have the ability to plan for next year and dialed in. And again, we are looking to make this as affordable and as flexible for your family as possible. So we will be creating payment plans that fit your family's needs. We've broken it up by term, so there's it's not so stacked, because I know there's seasons of life where finances are more free, but there are going to be there's a bottom line of this is what we need to do. So please write questions. We're going to be rolling out a family chat in which we hope to answer any and all of your questions. Send them to academy@kidsofgrace.com. Again, send them to academy@kidsofgrace.com. We will either answer them in real time, or we will tell you that we're going to answer those in the family center. And if we get enough of the same, we're obviously going to redirect that to an FAQ page that we create for that specific purpose. So with that said, thank you for tuning in. We are so excited to be working with you, and we hope to see you all real soon. God bless you. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.